name's Emma Flatt, and I'm the author of The Courts of the Deccan Sultanates, Living Well in the Persian Cosmopolis. My research focuses on medieval and early modern India, and in this book I look at the Sultanates of the Deccan, a region which straddles parts of the present-day states of Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka in India. When I started my research, I wanted to explore the mentalities and the social world of the court, rather than the high politics of these kingdoms or the personalities of the individual kings. I was also really frustrated by the popular narrative that presented this period as a time of unending aggression between Hindu and Muslim states. Instead, I wanted to focus on how individuals from across the Persian-speaking world moved to and fro and found success at the courts of the Deccan Sultanates. To help move my focus away from the sultans, I initially avoided well-known Persian chronicles and looked for completely different types of texts. One of these texts was known as the Nujumul Ulum, a compendium of astrological and esoteric knowledge. Now I'll be honest, when I first came across this text, my heart sank. I knew nothing about astrology or astronomy. I had little aptitude for the history of science. Even worse, although the manuscript's spectacular illustrations had attracted a certain amount of attention from art historians, no one seemed to have yet read the text, meaning there was no established body of scholarship on which I could ground my own analysis. The manuscript opens with a brief introduction where the unnamed author lists 51 proposed chapters on a mind-boggling series of subjects, from grammar, magic and music to firework making, Sufism and the types of men and women. The first chapter was nothing more than a never-ending list of angels' names. Chapter 2 began with a fairly mundane description of the movements of each astronomical body, based, so the author claimed, on Ptolemy's Almagest. But how on earth was this relevant to my project? Just as I was ready to abandon this manuscript and return to more obvious sources, things suddenly got interesting. I came to a new section headed, A Description of the Sun and the Signs of the Zodiac and the Mansions of the Moon and the Degrees of it. But this section was completely different to what had preceded it. The section described the sun as if it were a person, providing it with a genealogy which listed the Indic names of his father and mother, and associated the sun with well-known geographic features, regions, mountains, rivers, of the Indian subcontinent. But it didn't stop there. The list went on. And I'm going to quote a bit because it just shows you the extent to which this manuscript was inexplicable to me at the time. So the list went on. And amongst trees, it is the karg tree, which in the Hindi tongue they call ahak, which belongs to him. And his caste is Khatri, and amongst clothes, red clothes, and amongst sweet smells, sandalwood, and amongst flowers, red oleander and hibiscus, and amongst colours, sindoor, meaning it is red, which belongs to him. And his incenses are made of cupria resin and musk, and his candle wicks are made of red patola cloth. His face is turned towards the east, and whatever kinds of halwa that there be, that is his food, and his pickle is ginger. At this point, I stopped. Pickle? Why did a heavenly body have its own pickle? And why did the sun like ginger pickle, specifically? What was the reader expected to do with this information? As I struggled to make sense of this chapter with its plethora of Indic names and words, rendered in the uncertainties of Indo-Persian orthography, I became more and more intrigued with this manuscript and its place in the courtly culture of the Deccan Sultanates. And as each planet's pickle's preference was revealed, I bought a new jar of achar, or pickle. Over the years, as my PhD project slowly evolved into a book, my interest in this manuscript has slowly grown into an obsession. And although I now have a theory about the Nujumul Ulum and how the information it contained fit into the courtly culture of the Deccan Sultanates, and you can read all about that in my book, I still don't feel like I have all the answers. I do have a lot of pickle.